It's not a blue star. Hey everybody, my name is Theon, and your name means something to me even if I don't know you. Can you believe the last time I did this, we were talking about the first ever real Pip-Boy? And now we're getting another one? And this time it's the Pip-Boy 3000A from Fallout 3 in New Vegas. And it's perfect if you ask me, and I'm glad you did because I spent a few too many hours analyzing these 4 videos. Way too much. So I condensed all of the information into one video. I also have a few other details and confirmations from one of the actual programmers for the thing itself, also courteous of being in our Discord, so isn't that nice? So for these videos, we've got 3 channels that had exclusive interviews with Chris Bernardo of the One Company himself. You know, like, the guy. And he showed off so many different bits of info about this thing across the 3 channels that it's a little hard to keep up with. I know I'm gonna need all the details I can get because I am going to be wearing this thing basically daily. Sometimes I get a slight burning sensation under my left shoulder blade here. And, you know, that's kind of a bummer. So, hey, we'll see how much I can handle of the new one whenever it comes out, right? So, for a quick summarization on this video, I'm going to go over a couple things like the wearability, you know, because that's what it's made for. It's made to be worn. How comfortable is it? You know, what kind of factors have they taken into account for different arm sizes this time? Is it weigh? How much does it weigh? How big is it? Stuff like that. And next I'll go over like general hardware stuff, you know, like what kind of screen does it have? What buttons and knobs do what exactly on it? Where there's no torch button, how do we do that? Where's the flashlight? Yeah, we'll find out. And then there's software. Oh boy, has this software been like so well thought out. They didn't have Amazon breathing down their necks saying this can and can't go in it. They made it one-to-one with the games. It is so freaking cool. And with all that out of the way, let's get into it. To start out with wearability, this thing has a full front metal die-cast plate thing, and that's going to actually add most of the weight on there, and you know, most of the durability in general. The TV series Mark V weighed about 640 grams, so just about 1.4 pounds. You know, like the Mark V has a big clasp similar to the Fallout 4 one here, but the 3000 doesn't really show one there, does it? So what we've got here is a plastic clasp that is integrated into the metal cuff. This way it isn't biologically and semi-permanently attached to your arm and you're able to remove it, thank gosh. If the Pip-Boy is too tight for your arm, like some have said this is, you can remove the padding from inside, but in this 3000A model, they also included a extender bar for the cuff, so it can actually extend out, if you'll see there. And this actually adds an overall 2.2 centimeters to the total circumference of the new Pip-Boy. Chris himself confirmed that 2 of these extender bars will fit together, but they don't really have any plans at the moment to ship with 2, it only comes with 1. And if you want to, you can use the included text tool to attach the extender bar there permanently with screws. I think it's the ones inside the cuff, but it doesn't really, they never outright say it, so I don't know. If it's too big for your arm, well, they just kind of left that up to the wastelander that's wearing it. You know, you just gotta make do with your devices. I prefer to use sweatbands that I have underneath the padding in here, so that poofs it out for me, squeezes onto my arm. And I can wear basically every day for that. You can see more on these playlists here. As for the size of this thing, we do have dimensions, but which coordinate is which? What is it? Well, you decide. It says the length, we know for sure the length is 17.5 centimeters. From wrist to your forearm, that's 17.5 centimeters, straight from a Robco tester. And in fact, let's get that up on the screen of the size comparison between the two, so you can see how much extra longer it is. This here really gives you a great size comparison between the previous model and the Pip-Boy 2000 Mark VI from Fallout 76, also made by the One Company. Chris says that the extra length helps distribute the weight better across your arm, so it's less tipsy, susceptible to tipping around, you know. And Chris also claims that it's 1/3 heavier than the Mark V model here, so that puts it at about 132 grams, or 1.8 pounds. Shouldn't be too crazy, but please do pay attention to this warning from the manual. You know, don't wear it all the time. It can come off. It can come off, guys. It's crazy, right? Another thing about the added length, apparently, is that it helps grab onto the wearer's forearm, so us thinner wastelanders might not be so out of luck. As for under the padding, it's much less conical than the inside of our Mark Vs here, if you'll take a look. It's very smooth compared to how conical the other one is. It has like 3 different steps inside it. And this also gives it a more uniform surface underneath for you to put extra padding. You don't gotta stack them and stuff, and it'll be a lot better for everybody. Also, it is the same memory foam cloth underneath there, so it's nice and soft. Oh god, it's so soft. And next, where's the pip glove? Where's the pip glove? Well, as it turns out, wouldn't you know it, that adding an extra glove on there would have upped the cost. There's going to be a whole extra dial. There'd be a point of failure also where it plugs into the glove and then into the device. And that's actually why we have the top right scroll wheel that the game models didn't have. They made that kind of cost-cutting measure to get that implemented. But that doesn't stop some from modeling up their own gloves and making their own custom PCB boards and making it work with a 1/4 inch jack and soldering some stuff onto the board. You know, look at these pictures. Oh my gosh. So it's almost certain some XC sellers will pop up for this, which actually kind of makes this a nice segue into the next part here. Hardware. I'm gonna speedrun most of this because it's almost kinda boring and pretty much really straightforward on some of these things, you know? On the bottom center, we have our main 3 screen buttons, stats, items, and data. These even have a nice glow-up process when the device is powered on. The left scroll wheel is also a button for input selection, as well as typical vertical scrolling in menus. The bottom left has a tab selector knob, as I call it, for these 3 main menus, to change tabs horizontally. The top right scroll wheel knob for horizontal input and movement, not tab changing. Which again wasn't on the actual in-game Pip-Boys, so this creative liberty is definitely a welcome one. Inside the device, unlike this model, we have an accelerometer. This allows for a plethora of new things, most famously this time being a working rad meter of a kind. So when the Pip-Boy's tilted, it ups the rad readings and starts clicking just like the bones in my back. The Wand Company claims to even want to add a step counter feature via update, but they aren't too sure on that yet. You know, it's all up in the air. It's just software stuff. If nobody makes it there, we can make it. Somebody else can make it, you know? It's no big deal. Now, as for the rad meter itself, it has the default amber orange glow, and you know when it tilts, it gets red. Whoa, crazy stuff. They never really outright say if the needle moves, and it doesn't look like it moves on the model that he has. It's something that they claimed they wanted to do on this one, but they didn't get around to doing it so that it would kind of like be influenced a little bit by movement, but not move freely. Yeah, they should really implement that in this one, but we don't know yet. As for the screen, it measures out as 8.3 by 5.7 centimeters, or 3.26 by 2.24 inches for those spatially challenged. It's just a bit larger and definitely wider than the Mark V. Still, a resolution of 480p by 320p, which is a non-issue for like all of us, because you know it's supposed to look like a CRT. It's not going to be your HD compliant device. It's supposed to look bad. You know, the youths just wouldn't get it. Speaking of which, it also has that same plastic cover screen over the top of the screen itself, you know, but just wider. Next, as for the flashlight, we do know that it does have an LED torch on the back, and this is a new addition from the ones in the games. Similar to that shown on the TV show, however, this time it comes from the rear of the device rather than the end above the cuff by one's wrist. It came out about right there from the TV show. So instead, it's gonna come out here. There's no torch button this time though, so the quick solution that the Wand Company made is just hold down the items button and bada bing bada boom, it turns on. Here it is in a dark room, so as you can tell, its load's brighter than the Mark V. However, it seems that we are in fact missing the screen flashlight, as it is on the Mark V and in the games. The boys over at Robco say that with the lack of a torch button, they weren't really sure how to properly turn the screen on entirely and find an intuitive way to turn it off without there being a button to do so. So that kind of thing is still up in the air. They are actively discussing it. On the back of the device, we can see a USB-C slot that is now integrated into the device itself rather than using a vault key plug, which ran wires across the hinge on the Mark V here. Also a new addition being an actual headphone jack, which doubles in function as a radio antenna too. They include a wire antenna with the purchase, but my suggestion would be to get a collapsible telescoping antenna off of Amazon or eBay, you know, kind of like this. And then it would look like a tiny TV. Literally already bought my own just for this purpose, you know, I'll probably just store it in between the padding so it'll just be permanently with me if I ever need it. Next inside here, we're gonna have the same battery, but there's no pictures or videos of that shown. Neither is there any with the actual SD card, which is supposed to be underneath the battery. We don't really get to see that, but you don't have to take apart your device to get into it, to change your SD card, to change files. It's gonna be a lot more user-friendly. The good news with it being the same battery, the killer battery life will persist. Chris said that it lasts about 8 hours maximum brightness, doing nothing else, just being on. As for the SD card, it's still FAT32 format, so it's a really, really strong suggestion. Don't go over 32 gigabytes. Just use a 32 gigabyte card and you're going to be just fine. If you go over that, it stops being able to properly read things on the SD card. It gets weird. Now back to the USB port. When it's plugged in and charging, if you'll notice here, the slots on the bottom of the device actually have tiny LEDs along the motherboard that glow and pulse a little slower than you might be breathing. These slots sit on the rubberized plastic stand, and it's a bit softer to help with reducing scratching of the device. These LED lights are toggleable as well, so you can just have a pitch black room and it's not going to be blinding you in the middle of the night. As for the speaker, it's the same as the Mark V, but it's not coming out of this tiny little 1-inch slit between the two faceplate and the body of the Pip-Boy. It's actually going to be on the grill facing at us. There's a larger cavity underneath, which is going to allow for better reverberation. It's going to sound even louder, but it isn't. But it technically is to your ears. It is louder, but it's not using any more power or a different speaker. Let's be real though, this is just a glorified, birthday card speaker, so it's going to get drowned out by any ambient sounds at a convention, or if you're walking along the street, a car drives by, you're not going to hear it. It's not a Bluetooth speaker. This is not a luxury device. With the better orientation and the cavity underneath, the mids, the mids are in it. That is the mids. That's the mids. The Pimp-Boy 3 billion might be coming in 2027.
Can we have a bit of a cheer for the Pimp-Boy 3 billion? Okay, we love to do that, but that will come maybe next year. I mean, not next year, the year after, where we would probably look to make a limited run. Maybe we would plate this in sort of a gold effect plating, so it's something you couldn't really do yourself, and then put crystals on it. So yeah, absolutely, I would love to do one of those. You heard it here, Richard. We're doing one of those.
Chris himself said it there at Good Springs 2025. You heard it right there. I got the clip. Boom. We might be getting one. I think that's about it for hardware. Yeah. Okay. Time to get into the software, yeah? Let me just get a quick little, There we go. That's better. So, for software, we've got plenty to tear apart. This is the bulk of the video right here. And if you made it this far, I just want to thank you so much. Like, it's good to know others are enthused about this like I am. Or, maybe you just like hearing my voice, looking at my face, watching me make a fool of myself wearing a Pip-Boy out in public. Who knows? Anyways, almost every single file was taken from in-game assets from 3 in New Vegas and then recoded to work on their Pip-Boy. It has a much more in-depth boot screen this time, mostly being variable RAM shown, and is actually dynamic this time, unlike the simple video file that played during the boot sequence from the Mark V. Screen turning off also has an updated animation and looks a bit more convincing, and the powered down screen to match. Much more CRT realistic than before. And speaking of the screen, there are 2 different modes for this bad boy. That's being Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas mode, and each one is going to be colored as the default color appropriately. Each mode has a whole plethora of things, all the items, weapons, armor, notes from each game, quest specific, stuff like that. Speaking of also, you can go through several actual maps from the games and the DLCs in each mode respectively. You can even toggle the icons on and off. The values for items can be edited on the fly just by holding the left scroll wheel button, and the double dash items there are just not shown on the main screen until you change the value. So you can have a totally maxed out inventory, or you can go bare bones and have absolutely nothing on you. As for audio notes, the One Company is currently working with Bethesda to try and get licensing rights to all of the audio notes that they can. They have to, it's a whole thing. The Vault Boy health condition on the main screen is much more dynamic than the last one, rather than, again, the video file that was played when the Mark V was on its stat screen. The stats page obviously shows us our health and other info like the AP, experience, and such, but the health doesn't seem to actually change with the Vault Boy condition changes. Maybe that's gonna get fixed in the future. I don't know. There's no telling. The karma and the reputation system is even programmed in, a welcome return for some of us 3 in New Vegas fans, so I'm sure you'll be able to set whatever values you want for every faction available per game. You get the idea. Although this also was not shown off to us yet. Like I mentioned before, the specials, skills, the perks, they're all integrated into the operating system. You don't have to download any apps for that. No more mods needed like the Mark V. And down here we have a new screen called Engineering, which is the generalized stats screen for you to see stuff like battery charge level, the accelerometer GUI, and RAM usage. When charging, it actually even shows you details about the voltage flow as well, so that's pretty freaking neat. In the settings menu on the data tab, the display menu has several interesting options added to it to help with the immersion. We've got color, CRT jitter, glitch on tap, and the tap threshold for the glitching, and a vertical shift threshold. That's right, this thing can lose tracking just like an old VHS tape, and needs to be fixed with some good old repercussive maintenance, if you know what I mean. Apparently, even if this glitch on tap setting is turned fully off, it still will do it, but very, very subtly, just to help sell the CRT effect. As for the tap threshold setting, that means that higher values are gonna mean you have to hit it harder to fix it. Lower values means it's more sensitive. Oh, and game. I guess one game. It's shipping with Atomic Command, which is definitely a welcome addition because they didn't ship this with any games. The community had to make every last one, like Piptris. Thank you, Cody. Thank you so much. We're also going to be getting Grognak and the Ruby Ruins next. You remember the text adventure RPG from Fallout 4? Yeah, it's going to have an official port to 3000A, and it should be compatible with the 3000 Mark V. And then not to mention the fan-made games that are going to get ported over as well. Next, we have the clock. Look at it. They even added an ultra dim mode, as Chris calls it, but I'm thinking they just made the difference in brightnesses between 2 and 1 larger, so that the 1 value is lower than before, which I gotta say looks pretty good in the dark. Oh, and here's edited footage that shows as Chris and Jeremy from Your Geek Fix actually saw it. It's so dim, and the rad meter, of course, changes brightness with the screen, just as the Mark V does. So if you were paying attention in the hardware section, you'll notice I didn't mention a volume knob, did I? The Mark V has its own dedicated volume knob, thanks to the design inspirations from the Mark IV from Fallout 4. But unfortunately, there isn't one on the 3000A. It is a software-controlled only volume knob. It looks like 10 is the maximum volume. Hopefully it's logarithmic and not linear like my useless cell phone is. Which leads me to my next point. There's only an FM radio. There is no KPSS radio. There's no integrated function for playing your own audio files. They have said they want to work on that. Nothing is official. Fans are gonna make it happen. You can believe it's the custom radio from the Mark V is gonna get ported over. In the engineering screen, there's even going to be an RSSI visualizer, apparently right here, to show the signal strength of the FM radio while it's turned on in the engineering screen, but also this wasn't shown to us directly. For more sound stuffs, this time around we have 9 alarms, which, you know, there wasn't an alarm clock in the games. But we even get the cut alarms from the Mark V, the Good Morning It's Sunshine. Yeah, we get both of those versions in the Mark. We get both of those in the Mark. For more sound stuffs, this time around we are getting 9 alarms, which, you know, there wasn't even actually a clock screen in the other one or alarms. But also, we're getting the 2 cut alarms from the 3000 Mark V that Amazon wouldn't approve. So that's pretty cool. I'm pretty sure the male and female voices in that song are AI generated, but I guess it's okay. They're a really small company, you know, like literally 6 people. Oh, and support your local bands, everybody. They need it now more than ever in this day and age of AI. Oh, we also even got a time zone option and time format options, putting the day before the month, because that actually does make sense. This thing is going to be rocking a whole 82 kilobytes of RAM. Blah, I know, right? 20 more kilobytes than the Mark V. Your shout out to these guys here. They have done so much for the community for absolutely free, by the way. If you have one of these, you can get it so cool because of these guys. It's these guys. We are all so glad you do what you do, and thank you so much from all of us. Some of these guys even go as far enough to want to do and go look more like. So they made the Pip glove like I mentioned before, adding Wi-Fi, GPS, custom firmware. You know, just imagine what they could do with 20 more kilobytes of RAM. But seriously, they're amazingly talented, and if you understand JavaScript or are familiar with the Esperino board and you want to code up something for us, please join the Discord. They would be so happy to have you around. I know I would be too, just to see you talking about it. I'm even in the consideration of learning a bit of JavaScript so I could make my own kind of 8-bit JRPG on here. An aspiration that is well within reach if I surround myself with such talented people like there in pipboy.com Discord. And that's about it. For some miscellaneous notes, I've got here, the price point is $300, basically $100 more from the Mark V, partly due to tariffs, you know. The color is specifically called Pantone 771C. If that's something you need to know, it gets too scuffed up, you want to repaint it up, I think it looks nice as it chips away. It ships as a new model, so it's not going to have any of the gunk and hand brushed dirt stuffs all over it. You know, a lot of air quotes in this video, I know. It's shipping out June 2026. They want to get it out in April, earliest, maybe May. They already have a lot of this like coated up, ready to go. It's just, they really want to get it out sooner than June, but it is going to ship in June at the latest. The Mark V is apparently going to get continued support and some things added to it, like as they said, items list and an ID card, which we already have the ID card pretty well made, but you know, the items list is going to be good. There's even a QWERTY keyboard that they've added for this, so we'll see how that goes. Chris has his own type 1 diabetes charity if you want to donate to that. Link for that in the description, like everything else below here. So, are you getting one? Are you planning to? Do you already have the TV series model? Do you want to get one of those too? It's a little bit sold out, so that's gonna be a bit tough. But hey, let's chat in the comments, you know, or even over on the Pip-Boy Discord. Be sure to subscribe and like if you like my face or the video or Pip-Boys or Fallout. You know, helps the algorithm. And thanks for making it this far in the video. That really does mean a lot to me if you're listening to my voice right now. Be sure to check out the playlist I got here on YouTube for my daily wear of a Pip-Boy experience. I've got a Coffee and an Etsy if you want to directly support me, get your name in the credits. And yeah, look forward to seeing a live unboxing video whenever I get that. I got the day 1 shipping. Be sure to subscribe so you can see that. And again, thank you so much to all of you being here, and especially the names that are flowing past the screen. They make these videos possible by helping keep my spirits up enough just to go on camera and be in front of you guys. So, you know, keep surviving, Wastelanders. I'll see you around.